We're talking about Jonathan Kuminga, and he's 20 years old. And look, man, Jonathan Kuminga's smart enough. What he did with the Chronicle, I'll say this: I was not happy. I was not happy because it felt like that was it for him. You know, it's a maturity process. You got Moses
Moody
right there.
That's it.
What you mean? That's it? Well, that maturity problem right there, going to C.J. Holmes in the Chronicle, expressing how you're unhappy.
Gotcha.
Now, did Moses Moody do that? And I know people are going to say, well, Moses Moody came from great parents and he's here. So what, though? If you're Jonathan Kuminga, how about you lean on Moses Moody a little bit? How about you lean on some of the vendors a little bit instead of just going straight talking? Now, Kuminga went on Twitter and said, did I say all this? That's one thing. But I knew once that article got dropped, I said, he's not playing the rest of the season.
Well, look, you can't defend all the things. All I'm saying, and I'm not trying to make a pass for the kid. I'm saying, can we just be a little patient? That's all I'm saying. Like, yes, it's not... You can't defend that portion. Can you lean on Moses Moody? I mean, how many 20-year-olds lean on other 20-year-olds?
Right.
Very few
that's
times.
Your boy. That's your boy. Maybe express that in private. Moody's like, yeah, I probably wouldn't go to the papers talking about that. Because Moody never went to the papers talking. Moody had more reason to go to the papers to talk about DNPs. He got hosed this season. Moody got hosed more. At least Kuminga got the play.
I don't know. I think to try to judge them equally in the same way is a fool's errand, because one guy has obviously been through American school for the majority of his life.
I get all that, but that's why maybe
there's
if you're
a cultural
Kuminga,
navigation.
But maybe if you're Kuminga, because don't forget Kuminga did play for the G League Ignite, and he played under Brian Shaw, a guy who's won championships in this league. That's maybe when you send a text. That's maybe when you send a phone call and say, hey, man, what do I do? Because when you went to the papers in the middle of a series, that's a bad look.
I can't defend that. I mean, that's
all I'm saying.
That I agree with. But I also think that it's not the end-all, be-all. Like, he can't be salvaged. I think both can be true.
Nobody's saying that.
I think he can come back from this, and it's a learning spot for him.
Maybe he doesn't want to come back.
Maybe
he wants to get traded for.
Question.
Because moments after the game, not only did Draymond Green's or Sham's article come out about Draymond Green, but also in that same article, Jonathan Kuminga. His people want to wait with the Warriors. And if they don't get a larger role, they'd like to go elsewhere. Remember that? Remember that was in the article?
Yeah, that's not great to expose that, but I'm curious.
What do you mean? That's 2 articles right there in a week.
Well,
the maturity right there. Look, I get he's 20 years old.
But that's his representation. That's on his representation.
But that's him too, though.
Yeah.
His representation is speaking on behalf of him.
So are you done with him?
I never said I was, but he has to mature.
That I agree with.
We can
meet in the middle.
Do I want to let him go? I think the guy has the potential to be a star.
Yeah.
But there's also some red flags here. Okay, man, he's not happy, so boom, he goes to C.J. Holmes. What credit to C.J. Holmes? He went to Kuminga and asked him. And Kuminga talked. And so you don't think there was Warrior assistant coaches? People within the Warriors organization said, man, this guy really had to go to C.J. Holmes? Really? We're in the midst of a playoff series?
I would also say that was wrong. That was wrong. Simultaneously, like, again, 2 things can be true here, Ralph Barbieri. Playing Anthony Lamb all year ahead of him. Playing Anthony Lamb all year ahead of him, and then once Wiggins goes out and you get rid of Wiseman and GP2's on the shelf, now you go to me and I'm starting to show some success. I'm not trying to defend him doing what he did, because that's undefendable.
He played over Moody.
I understand being frustrated.
Moody didn't play?
No, I don't think that's right.
Moody never went to...
I can't view the two of them exactly the same.
They're both 20 years old.
Yeah, but they're very different.
They're both 20 years old, though.
You have people in your life that are the same age. Are all 40-year-olds the same?
So what, though? I don't care.
I mean, but
I don't care.
Draymond's been in the league for 13 years and is 33 years old, and he does wild stuff all the time in games.
He's also a 4-time champ.
Agreed.
Which you can't take away.
And he could be a 5-time champ if he didn't get himself kicked out.
You can't take that away. He's a 4-time champ. So my thing is with JK... He's got all the tools. But there's also a conversation saying, damn, maybe they should have took Franz Wagner, who some of the organization wanted, a more mature player who knows how to play more team basketball. Now Kuminga looks like a project, and the worst part about Kuminga is we still don't know what he can be after year number 2.
And you also have to understand that at every single turn, he's driving home from the game, and maybe he flips on the radio. And here we are crushing them. You know, oh, he didn't rebound. All the youngsters are why this team only won 43 games.
Well,
and I'm not defending the actions.
That didn't happen on this show, though.
I didn't say it
I
did.
think I was
Just in general.
we were pro youngsters as opposed to pro veterans early in the season.
Every time you open the app, there's 50 million people ready to crush you. And I think it's really I struggle. I'm 40 years old, and I struggle with negative criticism. I can't imagine being 20 years old and then seeing someone like James Wiseman get scapegoated and sent out of town. That does have an effect on someone. And not everyone is going to be as mature as Moody. We know this. Like, Russell Wilson came into the NFL infinitely more mature than a lot of people in his draft class, hence why he was so good and so ready to play at that age. You know, like, not everyone is exactly the same. Alden Smith did not conduct himself the same way as Nick Bosa early on in their careers. They're different. They come from different backgrounds. They're different people. So I hear you on the Moody thing, and Moody handled it the right way. But to say, JK, look at Moody and do it, they're so different. And he needs to mature.
But listen, though. But let's think about this, though. Think about this. Moody didn't play in a regular season. While Kuminga was getting 23 minutes a game, Moody's ass was on the bench. Moody was on the bench.
I know.
And he handled it like a professional.
But they're different.
Was he happy? Yeah, they are different. But was he happy? The minute Kuminga stopped playing and he was moping, I watched him from the tunnel in game 3 get pulled out of the game. And he went straight to the end of the bench. And the way he did it, it almost showed up Steve Kerr. It almost showed up the assistant coaches. And I said, this guy ain't even going to play today.
Well, as much as it is on Kuminga, and there's no doubt, it is. Oh, the bulk of the pie chart, if we were going to put it, the bulk of it is on Kuminga, right? And the people around him, whether it's his representation, you know, the people that he confides in. I don't know who's in his circle. Like, you know, for me, it changes from time to time. An uncle, a father, it might be a brother, a friend, you know what I mean? Like, it changes. I don't know who's in there. There's also a slice, and I don't know how big the slice is, on the Warriors.
Yeah.
You know, you have to also, you know, nurture an individual that's going through this type of a situation. And I don't know what they're saying at practice. I don't know what they're saying on the bench. I don't know who's around him. You know, so to think that the Warriors aren't also simultaneously culpable, as Jonathan takes a bulk of the blame, like that to me is letting them off the hook a little.
But you talked about patience. When you have a championship core, you have a team that believes they're playing for championships, patience runs thin.
That I agree with.
You can't sit there, and we saw that after they started 3-7.
Yeah.
Patience went out the window.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, guys are seeing DNPs, guys are not playing, guys are traded. James Wiseman. So patience. When we say patience on this team, the Warriors can't afford to be patient. How much does Steph Curry want to be patient?
It's a great
Clay
question.
Thompson want to be patient? Looney?
Well,
Draymond? Wiggins?
But we're acting like Clay and Dre aren't also, you know, letting this team down as well. Like
they did,
you know.
But they're your trusted agents.
I know, but I think when you're one of the young guys, I think what ends up happening is you feel like when you talk about patience, well, it's all on me. And it's not you. You guys did everything right, and it was us that let you down. And we're the reason why we didn't win. And I just don't agree with that. I think it was everyone. I think teams win and lose.
Listen,
and I think
man,
this team wasn't good enough.
Listen.
And, yes, there were a lot of personal, individual agendas.
You know, what's going on here? So, Jonathan Kuminga, when you say maybe they should be more patient with him, and he's a 20-year-old kid, this isn't a babysitters club. And I love JK. But Steve Kerr's not paid to babysit.
No.
You know, Kenny Atkins is not paid to
But he is paid to get the best out of each player.
He is.
And I would say this year, I don't think he did the greatest job of it.
I don't think so either. But he's also paid to try to get the best out of this team. And Steve Kerr felt like the best out of this team, to try to get the best out of this team, was to ride on the guys who's won the championships before.
And I would disagree with him and say, to get the best out of the team, you needed to find a way to unlock some of these youngsters to help you.
So, and I agree with that. And a lot of people are, this is why I hate sometimes talking about this stuff. Because you get people who misconstrue what the hell I say. Come on, Bonte, seriously, why is your tune changed? My tune hasn't changed. I believe they should have been playing Kuminga. Kuminga saw 23 minutes a game from February 1st through the end of the season. I am as disappointed as everybody out there about not seeing Jonathan Kuminga. I talk to Bully every day about Jonathan. You can't give Jonathan Kuminga 5 minutes on LeBron James. You can't give Jonathan Kuminga 10 minutes a game.
I mean,
if you believe this. So Steve Kerr said it with his own words.
Yeah.
This team maxed out. Yeah. They were not a championship team. Well, if it wasn't a championship team, let me see who I can build off of in the future. Jonathan Kuminga should have been playing. So everybody out there who thinks I'm crushing Kuminga, no, I'm not.
I don't think you are.
It has nothing
No,
to do with his
You're
on-court
saying what
ability.
he needs to do to take the next step.
But also, I'm just saying, some of
I
the
think you're being fair.
the maturity.
Yeah, I think that's a fair criticism.
At a certain point, see, here's a personal example for me.
Yes.
I used to blame a lot of things on my childhood and growing up in my low 20s. My dad was a dear, my mom was doing this and that. At a certain point, you run out of excuses.
You become
at a certain point.
It's called victim when you're the victim
blaming.
and it's woe is me.
Woe is me. All that stuff.
Yeah.
At some point,
Keep going.
At some point, you got to say, the hell with that. I got to just do it. I got to grow up. I got to grow up and figure this thing out. I got to grow up and be a man. And so this whole point about Kuminga's being 20 and this and that, he's been in America now for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's gotten paid well for playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
All right? At some point, yeah, sure. You're only 20 years old. But you know what? You're not a normal 20-year-old. You're a millionaire. All right? You're a millionaire playing in a billion-dollar corporation in the NBA. You're one of 450 players in the NBA. And you don't have to go to the G League. You're on the big boy club getting minutes here. At some point, those excuses run out.
Well,
at some point, you have to mature.
That I agree with. We look at someone like Ja Morant in a very different way, I mean, it's a similar conversation. At least the pillars of that conversation.
Right.
I think.
Look at Josh Giddey. He went to Australia, came over.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what his background is, but Josh Giddey looks like a mature player.
Well, he's
and it's
getting a lot of
different.
run.
And it's different. He is getting a lot of run.
You know, but I think where I come down, and at the end of the day, there's a different, for me, there's a line in the sand between icing someone out and tough love. And I feel like they went a little too far in the icing someone out as opposed to the tough love. Every now and then, you got to put your arm around somebody, even as you're chastising them, and lift their spirits up. And you can't coach everyone exactly the same.
No, you can't.
And I feel like they lost Kuminga, and it's a big part on Kuminga, but it's also on the team a little.
Yeah, but they lost
the
Kuminga.
leaders, the coach. Like, it's a lot. It's everything.
They lost Kuminga in the playoffs. Because before the playoffs, he was getting a lot of, and he was playing his ass off.
I agree.
He was playing his ass off. Now, I will say the whole argument about, hey, he needs to rebound more, blah, blah, blah. Shut up and watch the game. If you're watching him, he's guarding perimeter players. All right? He's guarding perimeter players. You want to go out there and grab 18 rebounds? 7 rebounds, 8 rebounds? Like, come on, man. Let's stop it. Let's stop it. This kid was guarding on the perimeter. So my whole thing is, though, he's got to mature this offseason.
I agree with that.
That is on him.
Is this a salvageable situation for you?
For Kuminga?
With the Warriors?
I think if you're the Warriors, you could salvage him, but he wants to play. And if they bring back the core 3, guess what? He's not going to play much.
I know.
And so for Kuminga, when he went, Shams Charania said it, his people want to know if he's going to have a guaranteed role. If not, he wants to move on. And I heard, and again, heard whispers about him during the Sacramento series. It's not just a C.J. Holmes article, but I heard whispers about him telling other people, hey, man, trade for me. Trade for me. They're not playing me. Trade for me. You know, you see him before a game and you hear whispers saying, hey, Jonathan Kuminga's just living his life. He checked out almost. He almost checked out. Now, is it on him that he didn't play? I blame Steve Kerr for that. But again, in this situation, when things are down, you always talk about it, Shasky. You always bring this up.
Adversity.
When you face adverse situations, how do you react to them?
Yeah, but I also...
And right now, he's not reacting well to them.
That I agree with. I agree with that. But I also understand that, you know, everybody has different resources and different life experiences, and so how they deal with certain adversities at different stages in their life. When I was 18, how I dealt with adversity is very different than how I've dealt with it at 36, 40, you know what I mean, years old, with way more experiences and way more understanding. And, you know, this thing about money, and he's a millionaire, for sure, of course. And that, boy, that helps. It does. But also doesn't completely shelter you from having certain things emotionally, mentally, issues in your life. Like, just because you have money doesn't mean that you can't, you know, have things happen to you or feel a certain way. I think at the end of the day, I think about it this. I do believe the Draymond decision to opt in or opt out is going to have a ripple effect on not just Jordan Poole, because I know we're going to get back into Jordan Poole, but I think Kuminga as well. Like, if Draymond Green stays, I just don't see Jonathan Kuminga on this team. Not because I want to run him out of town, because I just don't see where the fit is. And then, to me, it's also the signaling of them saying, we are going to stay old, and it's all about the now, and, you know, the hell with the future, and this.
Right.
So, like, in a ripple effect, it's Draymond or all of these youngsters.
Right.
And I don't know if they could coexist.
Yeah, I don't know. And the cold part is about all that, as you are listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMC FM and HU1 San Francisco, always live on the free Odyssey app. Maybe Kuminga just wants out. Maybe Kuminga wants, because the one thing, that bridge to the veterans was Jordan Poole, right? Jordan Poole was that bridge from the youngsters to the veterans. Kuminga, Wiseman, Moody, they all looked at JP. He was here before them. He was a guy who got to touch the court with the starters. And then when he gets punched and nothing happens really, there's no consequences. All right, Draymond Green has to set out a couple practices, but he's there on ring night. And then you see that, you're like, damn, veterans get away with a lot here.
Yeah.
Wow. And all of a sudden, I can't play because I make one mistake or I turn the ball over one time. Well, what about the veterans? What about this and that?
Who's got who's back?
So there was a lot of individuals on this team, man.
I agree with.
And that's why the whole thing about the Lakers, a lot of people coming out and they're not a better team. Well, they're more connected, which means you're going to be better in a series.
Steiny was saying something, and I know it's easy for everyone to be like, well, he's Andre Iguodala and you're Jonathan Kuminga. But we've all been in that work setting where somebody that you feel doesn't contribute enough gets certain, perks of the job or leeways, or we look the other way. And they were really they were walking a fine line with the Andre Iguodala thing. Don't play at all. But when it comes to the most important time of the year,
we're going to lean on you.
We're going to lean on you. And all the other contributions from all these other people are irrelevant. And I don't think, forget Kuminga. I think that rubbed JMG the wrong way.
Well, I think it rubbed everybody on that bitch. Think about this.
I mean, JMG's 33 years old, a veteran, and he had bad body language throughout the year.
The game at the Alamo
I don't blame
Dome.
him.
The game at the Alamo Dome when they set an NBA record, the most fans in attendance. Andre Iguodala played before Jordan Poole in that day.
Did he?
And I said, what? Iguodala was the first guy off the bench. So it wasn't just a slap in the face to JMG.
I didn't even know that.
DiVincenzo.
Wow.
Jordan Poole. Wiseman. Was he still here then? I think Wiseman was still here.
I think he was.
Moody. That's a slap in the face to everybody. Iguodala gets to sit out, chill. All of a sudden he comes back and he's playing. The first guy off the bench. That's a problem. Wow. That is, to quote John Dickinson, that's a problem.
I just keep coming back to they have to make a decision on what they want to do here. And I'm actually more in favor of them retooling and trying to go all in on a championship and having a deeper team as opposed to being all in for just a bunch of old guys. Because the old guys also break down. That's the other part. There's no guarantee you're going to win.
No doubt. And the sad part about Kuminga is he's one of the few guys who can finish at the rim. He's one of the few guys who can finish at the rim and get to the free throw line and hit the 10 to 12-foot fadeaway jumper. And in the series against Anthony Davis, you needed somebody to put more pressure on the rim. And Kuminga not playing in that series, to at least throw a body on LeBron James, instead you went to Moses Moody, and you're rewarding Moses Moody. Moses Moody played. Well, I thought Moses Moody got a job too. We don't talk enough about that. Well, he's just so quiet. He stuck with his guns. He stayed mature, and it worked out for him. But Moody said it earlier this season. Yeah, I'm not happy about not playing. But in the way he said it, the tone, instead of just going to a paper. But Kuminga not playing in the Lakers, I'm disheartened by it.
Well, but does he have more value right now as someone who could be salvaged on the Warriors, or does he have more value to another team that they could get something of significance? He makes, I'm looking at my notes here, Kuminga makes $6 million next year.
Yeah.
Look around the league, and you tell me, unless you're packaging him with something else, you tell me what you're getting back for $6 million. That is something significant. No. Now, just to give you an idea, the mid-level exception for Dante DiVincenzo was about $4 million, okay? So you're getting a mid-level exception player. Now, DiVincenzo was really good for the Warriors, but you could see some of the flaws. Kuminga, $6 million. So unless you're going to package him with something, or you staple it to something and someone else is coveting him more, I just don't know. I think he has more value with you.
Well, let me tell you, around the league, there's a bunch of teams who would love to get their hands on Jonathan Kuminga.
You think so?
Oh, I know so.
You know so?
Oh, I know so.
Interesting.
There's a bunch of teams who would love Jonathan Kuminga on their roster. So
is he the kind of guy that you could staple to someone else's contract to get something of significance?
I personally wouldn't do that. I don't know what you're going to get back.
Wouldn't it have to be the right player?
It's got to be a great fit, right? Because you got to think about it, man. You can't blow. Think about the position the Warriors are in.
I mean, the number 2 pick.
Number 2 pick, number 7, number 14. You already gave up on the number 2 pick.
I mean, that's gone.
That's gone. That's done.
For a guy that you could have essentially signed in the offseason. By the way.
And you talk about mid-range jumpers? Mm-hmm. You don't think James Wiseman could hit a mid-range jumper? You think Anthony Davis is letting him on the... Now, he's probably not playing in that series.
I feel like I'm wasting oxygen even talking about Wiseman at this point. Do you know that GP2 is the 6th highest paid player on the team next year?
I know. Well, I understand.
It's kind of crazy. He gets more than Looney next year.
$9.1 million.
More than Looney.
And he's going to probably play 15 minutes a game, if that.
It is... Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
So then...
That's a tough one to swallow.
Are we sure we want to blow the number 7?
One to swallow.
I personally, it's kind of like Trey Lance. I want the Niners to try to salvage Trey Lance. I want them to salvage Jonathan Kuminga. He could be a two-way pro. This guy has talent to be one of the best defenders in this league.